Hello everyone, and welcome to another cast by yours truly, DOxCoolBreeze, on behalf of Clan DOx Dark Onyx Gaming. Please check us out at www.darkonyx for the win, which you should see on the title plate there. And without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into this cast. This game is an interesting game that was sent to me by a good friend of mine, another member of DOx, a guy named by the name of DOxXzar, who is now currently online as well. He will be playing against, I believe it's defaspect. I'm just going to call him Aspect from here on out. Aspect is going to be spawning as the red Zerg on the right side of, I believe this is called Newkirk Precinct, but I'm sure somebody will correct me because they have two versions of this map out, the HOTS and the Wings of Liberty version. This, of course, will be the Heart of the Swarm version because this is Heart of the Swarm. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this replay. This game was sent to me and requested to be casted by DOxXzar because I feel like he was a little proud of it, but with that said, DOxXzar is a Diamond level Protoss player. He's been playing with Clan DOx for as long as I can remember. I'm relatively the new guy to the team though. And he was made one of our administrators, and he works very diligently on the website, so his actual StarCraft playing time is somewhat limited. So when he does get an opportunity to get on the ladder, he likes to take advantage of that and get some serious games in. And I don't know how much he's been playing, but he's been sending me some ridiculous replays, and hopefully this one proves to be one of those in that lot. Looks like both players are just doing a fairly standard open. There's not much anything going on exciting in the 13-14 range. Should be seeing the pylon going down here, and then it looks like DOxXzar has to make that decision on whether or not he's going to forge fast expand or if he's going to go some kind of 4-gate, 3-gate robo pressure. We have the fast expansion out of Aspect, which is fairly standard for Zerg players. There's really no reason not to do that because even in Heart of the Swarm with all of the new units, it's still a safe macro build to go. So it looks like he's going with the Forge Fast Expand. Ooh, and he's doing some funky play. Welcome to Funky Town. I wonder if that's a solid wall-in right there. This is something that's got to be just absolutely awful to deal with as a Zerg player. I can't even imagine how much this would piss you off because the probe is safe. If the pylons are set up properly, I don't think you can get back in there. And if he puts a cannon there, I mean, this base is effectively denied until, I'm going to say, you get roaches out because Lings can't get to that freaking cannon to kill it. It's just going to rape shit all day and destroy your larva count. It looks like Aspect going with a good reaction to this goes ahead and takes his, I don't know if this is a natural third or this is a natural third, but it looks like he doesn't give a shit because he's taken both of the bases. That might be that's an interesting play, but we'll see what goes on. DOxXzar looks like he's going to let that cannon finish. Aspect, of course, getting good map vision and seeing that DOxXzar does have his natural going up, so he doesn't expect too much of a ridiculous pressure going out. And DOxXzar cancels the cannon. I don't know how I feel about that, because if you leave this cannon here, there's no way that he's going to put a base down. But, I mean, the Zerg player did take 3 bases, so we'll see what happens. So, see how tight this wall-in is. Yeah, it doesn't look like those Lings can get in there. I don't think the probe can get out either. I think DOxXzar's testing it. Anyway, back to the game here. 2 hatcheries coming from the Zerg player. Looks like we got Queens coming out. And he's taking a 4th expansion. You greedy jerk. This guy, of course, is a Masters level Zerg. I don't remember if I said that earlier in the game. I'm a little tired after this weekend. It looks like DOxXzar's going to be taking the first losses here, losing his opening pylons. And our Zerg player is just doing macro is as macro does. Let's see what kind of scouting information the Zerg player has. One thing that I find very important, and I want to talk about this a little bit in the Heart of the Swarm, is a lot of these new units, they don't need to get into terminal numbers in order to do damage. For example, Zerg players play fairly standard now because the new units that they added are pretty much right before or right at Hive Tech. You're looking at your Vipers, you're also looking at your Swarm hosts. Protoss players have a lot of new opening options because they have the ability to use the Stargate play, which is something they haven't been able to do before. Mothership Core to use that as a harassment tool. And with that said, the game can very rapidly, because of those opens, get out of hand in the Protoss player's favor. They've got all these new tools that they can use, and believe it or not, DOxXzar's just using the fairly standard pylons and cannons. So with that said, it's extremely important to stay on top of your scouting information. We're coming up on that 7-minute mark where the Zerg player should be sacking one of these overlords to go through the base and check out what kind of tech he has going on, what kind of gases he's taking, and just to kind of basically see what to expect to come at him. So we'll see how our Aspect reacts to that. With that said, DOxXzar looks like he's playing fairly standard. He's doing some good upgrades. It's always great to see. You get that early forge using it for something. Warp gate technology, that's fairly standard. And looks like he should probably be throwing down some gateways here real soon, or we'll see what... there you go. Gateways going down. Whenever you scout another player, this is something that Scouting is an art form, and it's something that's very difficult to do. But so there are some pointers that you can use in order to help you out with that. Pointers being, for example, one of the things when you look for when you're scouting is not necessarily their first production facility, because obviously pretty much every Zerg has to get a spawning pool, but you always want to look at the second unit producing structure. It'll give you the best read on what your opponent is going. For example, if you see a Protoss, they've got to have a gateway down. Terran, they have to go racks. Zerg have to go that spawning pool. But when you see the Protoss throw down either a robotics facility or a Stargate, it gives you a much better idea what to expect out of them. Stargate, of course, you're going to see Phoenixes or Oracles or something, maybe even Gate like Void Rays. Looks like the mothership core is out on the field. Standard is as standard does, sir. Warp Gate technology still coming in. And it looks like Czar's just going to poke and do a little bit of scouting with his MSC. So we'll see how that works out for him. Still not a lot of scouting information from our Zerg player, so good luck with that. Anyways, Czar's sliding on in here, seeing what kind of tech structures we have. He does see the Roach Warren. I do not know if he actually clicked on it, though. So, you know, as far as it just looks like a big old lumpy tumor in the fog of war, so he has to make a guess there. Czar also does not know how many bases our Zerg player's on. But he does have a nice little proxy pylon set up here, and it looks like he... Ooh, nice! Little late on the scouting with the OV, but on the bright side, it did show him what the saturation on the natural's like. So with that many probes, it's a fairly safe assumption that the Protoss player is going to be going for some kind of 2-base aggression, because if there was a 3rd base up, he'd transfer some of those probes out. That's just my guess, though. Looks like the Zerg player's going ahead and starting to take his gas. Looks like up until this point he's been playing a very heavy Spinishiwa style, which is a name I'm sure a lot of us haven't heard since Wings of Liberty came out. But looks like he just wasn't playing super heavy in the tech, making sure he's getting all his drones out and larving up really good, and the attack is underway. Looks like Czar is using Stalkers as his unit of choice. Coming on in here against, looks like it's only mineral units, Slowlings and Queens, with a couple of Spine Crawlers behind it. It's not a bad defense. It should be easy to hold, but on that same token, Czar does have the high ground advantage, so... Ooh, get that mothership core out of there! Oh, what a terrible loss. And it looks like the Bobs are stuck too. They want to get on that front line, but they just can't do any damage. It's a very interesting unit composition that Czar's going for, because he doesn't have very many meaty units. He's really relying on the mobility of the Stalkers to get him in and out and do the damage that he needs to. Just a little sacrificial zealots, let those Stalkers get those hits in on that hatchery, and that hatchery is so close to dying. This would be a huge pickup, because it would slow that mining down. Even though these drones are still alive, it would force them to long distance mine and make that Zerg player have to put some pressure on using a little extra APM to get him on a base that does have stuff, which it looks like our Masters level Zerg player is not doing right now. The attack is still underway from Czar. He's doing a phenomenal job macroing on the back end of this, making sure that he's staying up on his production. He's got more gateways in production. He's watching his supply cap very well. He's a little oversupplied, but there's worse things in the world. Could be from losses, could be from overproducing pylons, and he's still staying on top of his upgrades. He's got his level 2 ground weapons almost finished. Looks like the warp in and the attack will continue to maintain pressure on this Zerg player. This has got to be awful to deal with, and he does not have the Roach army to do this. The Zerg player is getting his Roach speed at this point in time, Galil Constitution, and I don't know how much that's going to help him, because the Stalkers are at terminal velocity, terminal velocity, oh my god. They're at terminal numbers right now. With this many Roaches going up against that many Stalkers, man, they just shred them. The Roaches barely even get in to do damage. On the bright side, the Zerg player does have the Spine Crawlers down, or is putting down the Spine Crawlers in order to defend this 4th base, which is something he really needs to do to stay in this game, because he is truly behind on this army. And like I said, that's terminal numbers of those Stalkers, because they're able to get in there and pretty much one-shot everything that they want to do. Taking minimal damage, and look at that. This filthy animal. Look at this Blink Stalker micro, picking up those Blink Stalkers. Gotta love it. I don't want to call that flawless, but it is pretty good. And I have to tell you guys that when you see good Blink Stalker micro, it is damn near almost better than sex. So beautiful. We have more units warping in on the back end of this, and our Zerg player is truly on the back foot. He is getting his upgrades, he's got his overlords in good position, but Czar is just literally picking him apart drone by drone, with the worker count killed only in the 14 right now. We're looking at an income disadvantage. I mean, the Zerg player really only has a 4-worker lead on that. I know you're not supposed to do math while you're casting, and Czar just continues to pick up worker after worker, unit after unit. And even with these lings, you can't get a good engagement at that angle. Czar went ahead and opted to take his third base. Plenty of pylons going down. I love this positioning of these gateways, giving him a full wall in. The only thing that Czar's missing right now, and something that would really be bad news against this unit composition, would see those swarm hosts, because he has absolutely nothing on the field. There is no robo. There will be. Oh, I'm sorry, robo's down, but there are no observers on the field to get any kind of vision on that. But like I said, teching well on the back end of this, it definitely puts Czar in great position. He also looks like he's warping in some sentries to help push the attack. Look at that, trying to ninja expand. That didn't work out very well. Oh, and canceling that expansion as well before that stuff gets taken out. It looks like there was a little ling desecration that was going on there. Zerg player is transferring over to Hydralisk, but I think it's too little too late. He just does not have the numbers to engage this army directly. And to be honest with you, I don't know what he could do at this point in time to come back from this game. He is truly looking at the units lost tab. Oh my god! I wish I hadn't looked at that. It's almost 10,000 to 3,000. That's a 7 to 3 units lost. That is awful. Czar, you dirty bastard. What have you done? Looks like Hydralisk is going to be too little too late, and our Zerg player is running out of options very shortly here as his supply differential is almost at the 30, and he GG's, and that is the end of the game. One thing I'd like to talk about here, and I feel like the reason that this game was lost, and I'm going to blame scouting partially, and I feel like scouting really was the issue with the Zerg player because he did not see any kind of aggression coming out of it. He continued to drone, and that's definitely one of the things that truly hurt him. But one of the things I'd also like to talk about is when he decided to go super greedy and go with 4 expands. And that's something that I don't necessarily agree with for Zerg. StarCraft is an extremely dynamic game, and when I say dynamic, I want to specifically call it dynamic in the sense that it's action and reactionary. I like to use the example of chess. When you play chess, basically the white player moves first, and the white player has what's called initiative because they're always one step ahead of their opponent. The white player having that initiative, it takes 2 moves for the black player to take that initiative back. Now, the way I relate that to StarCraft is whenever you are an aggressor in the game, you basically have the initiative in the game. You're forcing your opponent to react to you, in which case I'm going to call Czar putting on this cannon the initiative. I'm not, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with his decision to cancel the cannon. I feel like if he would have left that there, it would have put additional pressure on that Zerg player and drawn his attention. I forgot who said it, but there is no such thing as a cost-ineffective Reaper. You've already invested the 200 minerals in those pylons. You know you're going to lose it. The extra 150 in the cannon is just a drop in the bucket at that point in time. And like I said, it would have forced that Zerg player to continue to react to that. The other thing is, looking at the Zerg player, slow it down here, he's already invested